Well, this is not fast. This is a 1983 first-gen RX7.
This is a GSL, which meant fully loaded, top of the line, almost 1200 cc with 100 horsepower.
It may be the cleanest 1983 on the planet. It has less than 27,000 miles on it.
This owner, thanks to Kim, he has owned it 21 years, sat for 17 of those years, and finally he decided to dig it out of his garage, rebuild the carburetor, and let us drive it.
The exterior is pretty much as simple as it gets.
There's no extra lines, there's no extra character lines that are there inexplicably for no reason. It's just this solid wedge shape, but the front drops away. So you do have this kind of long hood feel, but then just past the front tires, the nose drops away. The interior is truly a time warp, but it feels so well built. It's simple, clean, beveled slab surfaces. Welcome to the 80s.
It's simple, but it all works, and it's all very easy to interact with. Look at this really nice sunroof and all of these really clean gauges. This is practically a museum piece car.
This car just jumps to life. It wants to go. It wishes it had more power, and it just doesn't.
When Felix Wankel created the Rotary Engine, everybody was fairly intrigued by it. Most of the major auto manufacturers entertained the idea of working on it. Only Mazda really saw it through.
This was not the first Rotary, mind you, ever that Mazda dealt with and put in a production car. It was just starting to be one of the most well-sorted. So you gotta enjoy it for what it was. You gotta enjoy it for where this car brought Mazda. And I am definitely of the mindset that I want Mazda to continue the Rotary.
For as tiny as the motor is, it's essentially a 1.2 liter. You would expect good gas mileage, but because it's a Rotary, it gets about 22 miles to the gallon. This has always been the problem with Rotary engines, especially introducing them in the 70s, 80s, when there's the fuel crunch. People were less inclined to buy a Rotary. Like all Rotaries, it spins like it has no friction at all and is happy to be right up here at the top of the rev band.
This is 2 rotors in this Rotary engine, non-turbocharged. It needs some coaxing, but if you get into it, it's a 4-barrel carb, so that means above 4,000 RPM, something like that. The other 2 throats in the carb, those open, and it kind of feels like a lightweight version of VTEC, kind of.
100 horsepower, 105 pound-feet of torque, not a lot. Some traditional piston engines, as you wind them out, some of them start to feel kind of angry about it. This Rotary just starts to go, yes, this is what I'm asking for, please, a little bit more of that. This engine, like all Rotaries, is just excited about spinning as fast as it can. Oh, that rotates well.
Okay, so throwing it into my first real corner here, I can feel the entire weight of the car, as this truly is a front mid-engine configuration.
So as a result, it carries its weight really well, and the balance is excellent. The steering rack is slow. I keep thinking, wait, no, that's not enough. No, dial in some more. There, no, a little more. There we go. That steering in this car, it doesn't give you nearly as much as you expect, but of course, it's a car from 1983. Steering racks have only gotten sharper since then.
There's some play in the steering wheel here. There's weight to it, but only in corners, of course, because unassisted means I'm getting pushback. But it's the entire car, this entire feeling of the car going through the turn. So you're not feeling like the front pitch in or the back come around or anything like that.
This feels kind of like a coupe version of the first-gen Miata. And like that car, the body roll is kept well in check. There's nothing sloppy about the way this car moves around. You can tell it's not powerful right away, but it hangs onto its speed well, and you can actually manhandle it. It doesn't feel like 2,400 pounds. Honestly, this car feels like it weighs 1,800, 2,000. These wheels are 13-inch wheels, and you feel a little bit of that tire give. The owner was saying he's having trouble even finding tires for this car anymore, because who makes 13-inch wheels? Go-karts.
And the transmission here, I cannot bless it with words like really is smooth and slots home nicely and fun to use, you gotta coax a gear out of this thing.
The big sensation in driving this RX-7 is that it just feels smooth. The engine, being a rotary of course, is incredibly smooth. The steering, the suspension, nothing feels grandiose or even very heavy. Everything just feels kind of smooth and ready to do what you need, but not ready to overwhelm you. It's very comfortable and satisfying, and yet it still can hang on in a corner and be quite a bit of fun.
It's so fun to drive cars like this, looking back and seeing where things have come from, because it informs what we know and what we experience about modern cars.
Kim, thank you. This car is special, and it's kind of a find. I do feel like I'm driving a resurrected barn find here in a great, great way.
It's one of those cars where I want other people to enjoy it, and that's what we're doing.